calling to order the minute of St. Mark's Street Park Working Group.
You're on mute, Marguerite.
No, oh yes, I am.
All right,
All right.
all right. It is 8:11. No, it's now 8:12. I'm calling to order the meeting of the St. Mark's Street Park Working Group. First order of business is approval of the minutes of January 18th. Do I have emendations and corrections?
Yes.
All right, Andrew.
Can I take a look here?
Yes, there you go.
So I have the following changes. So in the opening, strike as per Governor Baker's orders. And under administrative, paragraph 2A should reflect that December 2nd minutes were Bill Signs moved to approve, Kevin Miller second, and then the vote was 7-0 to do that. Public comment, paragraph 3. Instead of saying comment from Bonnie Faniff asking if town meeting warrant article will limit spending on the park to the amount of money to be spent on the park, will limit spending on the park to the amount of money designated for the park.
That's
Paragraph 4, the comment was from Karen Shimkus.
How do you spell
I can
that?
give you.
Okay, thank you.
And where you have comments,
Yes.
James, under public comment, paragraph 4.
Yes.
I'll just say states that, instead of comments that former DPW head Carrie Galligan, you say states that. Oh, so there, comments. States that.
Thank you.
Paragraph 6, Bonnie Faniff left the meeting room. You could say due to open OML compliance.
Which board was that?
Public comment 15. Patty Burns Fiore questions if I think Grant had a more accurate.
On my mic. Patty Burns Fiore questions if Ms. Gillespie received approval from the Open Space Preservation Commission of her plan.
Okay. If
Ms. Gillespie
received
approval from the Open Space Preservation Commission of her plan.
good.
And then the
I make, oh, okay. Kevin moves.
Kevin, Sue, and Grant,
Second.
second. All right. All those in favor, Mr. Miller.
Aye.
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 All right, as amended, thank you.
all right. We have one agenda item for tonight, which is, basically to vote on accepting the St. Mark's Street Park concept plan as provided to us by VHB Friday. I don't know, James, have you seen it?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you turn?
Okay. Andrew and I spoke to Greg Russell on Friday, and he gave us some information about this design. It is basically the hardscape with the 3 trees, 3 big trees and 3 smaller bushes. There'll be flowering bushes. The 2 rain gardens are in there near the drains, which they need to be. The sidewalk, which will be built, is on this plan. And he said also that the plan would be to take the giant pile of boulders, use the stones that had been part of stone walls to recreate stone walls where they needed to be now, and that the larger boulders would probably go to the DPW. I think some of them St. Mark's wanted. Are there any, this has been graded and engineered so that it is appropriate in terms of drainage, path width, patio placement, and anything else that it would need for ADA compliance, so that this is basically a plan that is ready to go. Andrew, do you have anything to add to
No,
that?
other than that, it's really the product of all the many, many discussions we've had for the better part of now a year. That's gone through different phases, and basically it took Miss Burns Fiore's plan and then made one iteration to it, and I think maybe one more iteration based on the comments at the last meeting. So I'm excited about it, and look forward to the park being built and used and enjoyed by people.
All right, sounds like a plan. Other working group members want to question or comment?
I'll just say that this is, from what we talked about, pretty much exactly what we described, with the flexibility we need for the space, and it's what I envisioned when I think we went into this. So I'm very happy with that.
Okay, good. Grant?
Yeah. Sorry, could you repeat what you said about the boulders? I don't think I understood.
All right, that Greg said that in that pile of rocks, which is quite large, all the stones that looked like they'd been part of the stone walls, which would be the ones with the lichens on them, you can see they've been above ground for 100 years, will be separated out and used to rebuild stone walls. There's a couple of boulders that came from underground. You can see they're kind of raw and yellow. One of those, I think you said St. Mark's wants, or maybe a couple, but basically all the stone that had been used for stone walls and had been moved will now be put back as stone walls.
Okay, and where are the stone walls that would be on this plan?
They're not drawn on this plan. I think that is something that will need to be discussed with planning, where they want them.
Okay, so that's more of a general offer of you can use stones for a wall if you'd like, rather than they're going to be incorporated into this
Well,
plan.
the issue is here, planning has to give input on where they think walls should be, right? That's not our mandate.
I'm not entirely sure of that, but
Mhm.
Okay,
Or somebody has to give, because I don't know where stone walls need to be or should be or legally have to be. So I have no plan on that, but I do know that there is stone there. It will become stone walls. And it won't require purchasing stone or digging up stone or anything like that, because it's all just sitting right there. What was a stone wall is in that pile and will turn into a stone wall again.
okay, yeah, I mean, I'd like to see a plan for where those stone walls would go. I know that we spoke at our last meeting about, Kevin, I think, had mentioned maybe having a stone wall. Well, there is actually an existing stone wall that's not on this plan right now over on 85, but I think it was Kevin who mentioned having some sort of curving stone wall that goes up and around the corner of like 85 and St. Mark Street. We didn't come to consensus on that, but I think, you know, the question of are we going to have a stone wall and where would it go is something we could talk about.
Kevin,
Sure, should I unmute?
Yes,
I did, so I think you kind of,
or I don't know if I'm being, if
I'm
I'm
just
heard.
gonna
I'm gonna
mute.
unmute. And also, should we bring up the diagram so it's recorded, someone can see it? I have it if you want me to bring it up.
It's on the host, I think I can.
Okay.
It's in the packet.
So while Andrew's doing that, I do have a couple thoughts. Bearing in mind that, right, this is supposed to be a kind of conceptual drawing to show to town meeting. You know, I'm supportive. I just want to point out, Marguerite, actually, can you put your volume down all the way so then I'm getting like
Okay,
feedback
sorry.
on your machine?
Yeah.
Couple of things. I really like the more robust windbreak to the old burial ground that they're calling for in this. That's quite nice. I like the idea of, I don't know what the circumference of these large shade trees would be, but I like the idea. I had just a couple questions. And, you know, with regard to, I think the fact that now the path VHB has a path coming down to the crosswalk at the foot of St. Mark Street, the new St. Mark Street, I think is a good thing. I like that. I wanted to see that an entry point at the point. And the fact that, you know, that Wyson plan had 4 landings, I think Patty's and Sally's plan and Freddie's plan had 1 landing. This has 2 landings. That makes sense. I can live with that. It's a nice compromise. I thought a second landing was actually very important, at least. And so I think that's a plus. I think it's really good. I like that you know, again, you enter from the library, you enter from Marlborough Road at the corner, the exit that everybody has sort of planned. That all makes sense. I did wonder about the sidewalk that's shown at the top of this diagram, say closest to Pilgrim Church. Is that in the budget? Is that it's shown, but I didn't know that was contemplated because I think that was a point of contention. And of course, my understanding was that Pilgrim Church was sort of quite strongly opposed to a sidewalk on that side of St. Mark Street, encroaching on their property. So it sort of shows this theoretical sidewalk. You see where I'm at, right at the very top? Like, is that really, is that a phantom, or is that actually going to be there?
But technically.
It's outside our
it's outside
purview.
of purview.
So I just put that out there because, and the other thing I would say is, I would recommend, as a matter of, let's call it salesmanship, if you're going to take this to town meeting, don't show what's going to be St. Mark's parking lot as green, because that's teeing it up as a kind of, just label it as a parking lot and show it as, and also I understood the previous VHB plan showing entrance and egress from St. Mark Street into that proposed parking lot. And this shows a solid sidewalk, you know, with no cuts. And then it depicts it as green, and therefore it looks like grass. You follow what I'm saying? I just think it would be good
Change
to
that
be
color.
completely transparent so that somebody doesn't say, oh, you're trying to pull one over on us. You know what I mean? It's a parking lot, but you're showing it as a meadow. It's going to have ingress and egress. And in fact, you're not
Right.
showing any, it shows a sidewalk. So I would just clean up, encourage them for the sake of forestalling certain objections to just being
Mhm.
completely transparent about what the design is actually going to be.
Do we know that?
I don't know for sure, but previous iterations of the plan always showed access from St. Mark Street into the parking lot. Otherwise, I mean, sure, the one thing I would also note is that it doesn't, this plan shows the rain gardens, which I suppose is a matter of functionality we have to have. It doesn't show areas for things of native plants other than the flowering
This is
trees.
just the heart.
Right,
It's not the walls, it's
Right.
not the shrubs, it's not anything,
Right.
it's just the paths
right.
and the trees.
And then, and then the only other thing I would say is, I do think that what goes around this and borders it and gives it definition is going to be really important. So
Mhm.
great if there's something that can be done with the existing stone there. The other option, as I mentioned before, depends on where the stone goes, is some version of what we have around the town green, which I think is very harmonious and would be much less expensive. And provide a sense of definition and also protection.
Yeah, or some of each.
Some nominal protection from a car that comes, but with those minor, very minor notes, it's fine. You know,
Good.
it does,
Okay.
we got somewhere, so I feel pretty good.
Yeah, so this. Sorry.
I'm gonna jump in, Marguerite, for why you're fooling with that. It also doesn't, of course, show historical markers, which,
Yes.
in my position here, I feel obliged to make sure that we, I know this is all gonna come down to money and timing and when it can be done, but I'm obliged to advocate for it, and so I just
And
did.
I think that's one of the most important parts, and but I think maybe if town meeting approves the land swap so that this is gonna happen as opposed to unclear, then I would foresee, maybe the historical commission taking a lead and thinking about filling in some of the content of those.
Right, and
markers that
I
are-
agree with that. I think that the point is to get a raw design that can
This is like a
attract people.
backbone.
Exactly.
So this would be the backbone of the way the park is. The rest follows on that. I spoke with Bill, he said he supports this. As far as ADA is concerned, he's fine with it.
Yeah, I think actually that second landing is really helps access wise, because they stop and
Yep.
orient and go back up,
Exactly.
so. Yeah, no, it's,
So shall we take a vote?
Sure.
Just to be clear, we're voting on
Accepting this as a preliminary design.
sending it off to the select board.
Yes.
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 Great, and then the idea is that this, we discussed having this type of a concept kind of bubble plan be used, that this would be presented at town meeting, where the question is, what does the town propose to do with this space? This is the concept plan depicting
Right.
what we propose to do with this
Right, so
space.
this is the backbone of that.
Yes,
There will be a lot of other things there, but that's to be worked out later, including the historical markers, very important. All right, so I'm gonna call the vote, if I may do that. Mr. Farrington.
I move to
Oh,
approve
thank
this
you.
plan.
All right, I'll second.
Remind you to say.
All
Well,
right.
can we say it's a,
Yeah.
what are we saying? It's a preliminary concept plan?
Yes.
Here's what I'm writing.
Yep.
Vote on accepting VHB plan 3/3/23 as a preliminary design be presented at town meeting.
And just for my clarification, this is with the expectation that some of these details will be filled in
Yeah.
eventually.
yep,
Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, I second it first, I guess. Do we need to second it?
Marguerite seconded.
Okay, then aye.
Okay,
Aye.
I,
aye.
aye.
All right,
right.
there we are. All right, so we've got a plan, and we've got with the emendation of making the parking
That's
lot
a
look
very
more like
good,
a parking lot.
observation.
Yes, it looks like a meadow,
Just don't want people to, jump up and go, hey, wait a minute,
more grass. All right, the next agenda item, thank you, everybody, is public comment.
There's no point coming up, right?
We can hear you, that's right.
So, I just left pre-town meeting, where we talked about article review presentations. I told Mr. Spino, without talking to you guys first, that I think that the plan is going to be for select board to do the overall presentation of Articles 12 and 13. The background, just all the way through, all the work has been done to try to straighten out this project and get it done, which will of course include the work on the working group, very much for that. But then I think it would be helpful if the working group, I agree, also stands up there and actually presents this as the index, so the culmination of their presentation. So we show a picture of possibly, I think that Andrew's got the picture of December 31st where the puddle had frozen over in ice, which is pretty bad, and show a picture maybe what the dirt looks like right now, which is what we're trying to solve. But then let you end this with, but he wants these to be pretty fast. I would say that he's trying to hurry him up. Because we've got 44 articles, trying to get through in a day.
Oh,
No, it's gonna be tough. So he said how much time, and I said 7 minutes, although I think it's gonna go over 7 time. So anyway, that's my suggestion. Is obviously your call whether you don't do that, but I think that if you getting the end of it might be a positive way to end that part discussion articles.
I agree, as long as historical and others can speak to the benefit that will come
So
to
what
the
I
town.
was hoping, again, this is a, you always say, this doesn't mean it's like we're gonna talk about this, we're gonna talk about it tomorrow night as far as that piece goes. But what then I hope, rather than historical, not necessarily say anything then, but we will refer to the archaeological study and results of it. And Kevin will be there to answer any questions about that piece
Yeah,
of it.
definitely.
And he'd be willing, he'd be the one that's gonna stand up and do that piece of it, but not necessarily focus on that because of the time limit. Do this. These articles come pretty early on the warrant. Right after that is going to be the approval, the de facto approval of the Algonquin athletic field renovation that comes next. So the audience is going to be there at that time. It's going to probably include people that don't normally go. They're there just for the Algonquin article. So we're interested in trying to move things on as much as we can, given that they probably are coming just for that.
Just for that
They
vote,
want to
yeah.
come to that, and they may say,
I think that's fabulous, and it shouldn't take too long to do, but I would really suggest getting this picture out on my Southborough and the library and the historical and anything that gets, so that people are like, oh my God, you can't turn around without seeing this diagram. Let's get that going.
Well, I think
totally agree.
maybe first, make some of the corrections we're talking about.
Yes,
here.
definitely, definitely. And also, Greg Russell said that it will come in under that number that's already been allotted.
Well, what I was going to say, it has to, or they go back to the drawing board. They keep going back to,
Right.
the number is 250.
He said it would be less than that.
It is.
So, yeah.
And then, so Marguerite, what I'm gonna propose to select board tomorrow night is that report gets written quickly. And we get that posted all over the place with this attached to it.
Yeah.
So that it kind of explains everything. It gives people a preview of what they're gonna hear at town meeting. And also, there's people who probably would pay much attention to this. We're trying to get them educated before they get to town.
So
Right.
Kathy, you're talking about a report.
I keep calling it a report. I don't know what else to call it.
One
A
page.
presentation.
Okay,
State-
That's not saying like the interim report that the working
Oh,
group did.
no,
There's
no,
not,
no,
not,
no.
we don't, okay.
There should be just like
This-
one,
Here's what we started a year ago. So bring everybody forward from a year ago. A year ago, this is what happened. This is what we've done since then to basically listen to what people said. We tried, very hard to resolve the major issues with people who all have constructive suggestions, all the way through. We can't tell
Right.
the ones that weren't our constructors, minimum copy. And kind of show, look, this is what we've done. All
And-
these sentiments. And again, this is where we've ended up.
And this
have some
should-
good things.
Yeah.
If this doesn't pass, we don't have a plan B. What do? We got a column dirt with our pipes underneath it that have solved a water problem. So Marguerite, not to go from tangent, but also the library would be available to speak to the solving of the water problem.
I can get Ryan to do that.
So we say, but with this being the last thing that people see, we have a park.
And I would suggest putting a pre-meeting handout on the table. Just, and I think if this doesn't work, I don't know what would, but the library has not flooded from the north since Karen's pipes were put in there, not a drop.
And that's gonna be in there as we, this is what happened with the last, two floods, this is what it costs to repair it. Especially last one, $600K to repair it, and, so far so good.
Yeah, anyway, so I think, good, we have some work to do, but we've got a plan, literally. Anyway, other questions? Other comments?
So just, what's the process for getting some of those revisions to the plans?
we can reach out to Greg and just ask about the,
Parking lot look, yeah.
yeah,
Can I just throw in that, you know, and the big plaza, right,
Mhm.
the top one,
Yeah,
he shows a low retaining wall like to the, that's sort of the south.
right,
And I assume that's for gradient purposes, that it actually is gonna hold back some of the slope, which is cool. I would love it if, when he's fine tuning, they would add a third bench, so it has some symmetry.
the benches are gonna be a later
1, 2,
drill
3.
there, yes. And I asked him, is it still gonna be as steep as it is now? And he says, not at all.
No, they flatten that out,
Yeah,
right? Yeah, that's why they
definitely.
need that retaining wall, I would
Yeah,
assume.
yeah, so
Um,
it's like right now it's like Mount Everest there, but it's gonna go down, so it won't be so
Right.
bad. But yeah, just to do it.
And then I think it would be very interesting to,
Yeah,
like, think of that top plaza as the one sort of that Patty and Sally were advocating for in the terms of the components of the town.
yeah,
And then maybe we might even think of that lower one, it's like I like the idea that dedicated to the Nipmuc presence there, that would be the,
Yeah.
you'd wind your way up and this is a part of the story and then you come to
Yeah.
this, you
that'd be
know,
great. Yeah, that's definitely, well, it's giving you basically a blank canvas
right,
here. to
right,
see
and yeah,
what
maybe
you
it
do.
goes
It'd
in
be
the big
wonderful.
plaza, but anyway, yeah, so I
That's great. So Patty and I went out in the mud and walked because we wanted to see when the big plaza is there. We should be able to see the mustering field, the church, and the old burial
Right.
ground from the same place. And it turned out over here you couldn't really see it.
Right.
So we had to measure with our phones
Uh,
how many feet it was from here to there to there. So it was scientifically done. Anyway, so this should be where it is right now. We should be able to have a good time with that in terms of markers.
Yeah, that's fine, and it makes sense that the seating area will be the furthest away from the road, so I also like that.
Yeah, so I think it'll work. And this sidewalk apparently by Pilgrim should be out, right?
Well,
Um,
just ask.
I would like it to be
Yeah.
there, because I walk that all the time, and you have to walk in the road currently,
Yeah.
or, in the,
Maybe
you
there's
walk,
some
you
way-
walk on Pilgrim's grass, basically.
Yeah, you do anyway.
It's not really, not only is it not within our jurisdiction, but it's,
Right.
it's,
Not our,
I
yeah,
mean, we've done other things that aren't necessarily within our jurisdiction, I think, but
yeah,
Right.
on this plan,
Yeah,
including the
that's a good
parking lot,
point.
but
Yeah.
it's just perhaps not gonna happen, so I think, whereas the other one might, so I think it's pretty unrealistic that it would happen.
Well, not to belabor the point, but
Yeah.
the odd thing about this crosswalk up here is then they're showing a sidewalk on the St. Mark's side of the street, as it were, and if that's really gonna be there, it's a little bit more coherent. If it's not, then it's a little, whatever. I mean, I
I
get
like
the
it
point.
taking the chunk out of.
Yeah, sure, if they're willing to do it, and especially if they pay for a sidewalk over there.
Anyway, so good. All right, so,
Anyway,
do I have a motion to adjourn?
Public comment?
Oh, public comment, yes.
Sorry, not the agenda. Did I hear that it's gonna cost $250?
Under 250,
What?
under 250,
Under $250?
Right.
You don't have a final number.
no.
And what did I hear about flooding? You're saying what about flooding? You're claiming it's gonna solve your flooding.
No, it already has solved the flooding problem.
You're claiming it already has solved your flooding.
From the north, there's no flooding from the north anymore since Karen
Okay, so
put those
what is
sumps.
that statement based on? Why should there have been flooding? Why
Uh,
should there have been any flooding?
There's been consistent flooding from the north.
Well, where does that, okay, I'm gonna address it at town meeting. You're gonna claim that what the work they've done has stopped flooding. You're actually gonna say that.
From the north, yes.
From the north, okay. All right, I'm gonna get an engineer, we're gonna disprove that.
All right,
It's so obvious, the funding has been solved by spending millions of dollars on the Main Street Highway, then how you can make these outrageous statements? They're simply untrue. How are you, explain to me, how are you making that? Where's your evidence for that? Where's your evidence? You're not answering me. Are we on TV?
yes.
Where
This is your
your
public
evidence?
comment. I don't have to answer your comments. Just tell me your comments.
Okay. Zero evidence of the work they've done so far has gone from anybody whatsoever at the library. It's simply made up. It's simply a lie. You're parroting what Karen Galligan told you, right? She told you what she wanted you to hear. Which you told me one-on-one, didn't you? You
David,
said to me-
what you're stating is contrary to fact.
You told me up there at the library that Karen Galligan told you, she told you that the contractor had found a stream underground, didn't you? You said that. Then you said that Karen Galligan told you that the contractor put it in a pipe and put a pipe underneath 85 to the drain the other side of 85. I asked Vanessa Hangand about this. It's a myth. He said to me, it's a myth. It's a lie.
You asked
There
who?
is no drain. There was no stream. It's simply made up. Karen Galligan wanted you, she told you what she wanted you. You see what this whole thing is a fabric of lies. Karen Galligan wanted to justify a project. So
No,
she made up-
actually, the library director saw the stream in the pipe and reported that to me.
No, who is the library director who saw the stream? Tell me, what's his name?
The current library director.
He actually saw the stream.
Yes, he did.
I'm going to interview
All
him
right.
and find out. because
No,
the
it's,
event
is it
happened itself.
interviewing, David? Please, let's be civil. Patty, Ms. Fury.
I just wanted to say that I think this is a great compromise. I think it's come a long way from the oversight in the beginning. And I appreciate all the time and effort you put into this and the amount of listening that you've done.
And thank you and Sally for your input on this because it's a variation on your simplification. So thank you.
On that high note, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second? All right. That was Andrew and Kevin. All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Andrew?
Aye.
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 Meeting is adjourned.
8:47.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was fast. I know. All right.
I'm gonna stop recording, okay?
Yep.
Marguerite, I will make sure to email you these minutes right now.
Thank you.